Hello, my name is Benjamin Hart. I'm an American attorney and the managing director of Integrity Legal here in Bangkok, Thailand. Yeah, I'm still doing some of these informal videos here. Again, apologies for the lighting's a little off from our usual videos, and the sound. I am working on it. We're trying to get some. We're getting some new equipment in here, so bear with me, and it's much appreciated. This is probably going to be a quick one. The thumbnail to this probably seems a little bit perhaps irreverent, but honestly, when I first started reading this stuff, my first reaction was confusion. Then I was a little bit, frankly, anger is the wrong word, but maybe perturbed, which I'll get into in a minute. And then I just kind of culminated with thinking, wow, this is just kind of absurd. And hence the reason for the thumbnail. You know, it just to give reference, it's not really meant to be negative. It's from a scene in the movie Anchorman where Champ, the character Champ, I think it was Champ Kind was his name, he kind of gets a little bit hyperbolic. He gets basically upset and overwrought, and basically one of the characters, Brian Fantana, says, hey, why don't you just, take it easy, maybe stop talking for a while. And it's a funny little line, but it is kind of very encapsulating as to how I feel about all of this stuff. Going into Thaksin, and we've definitely veered over into a political sort of bent on this channel, but that's because politics is going to have an impact on the law. It can have an impact on how foreigners operate here in Thailand. It can just have an impact on the future of Thailand generally, and this has become more of an issue for me. For those who are unaware, I naturalized to Thai citizenship some 6.5 years ago. I may have the fervor of the converted a little bit insofar as I really, really love Thailand and I don't want to see anything particularly bad happen to her. Now, do I think that anybody involved in this is operating in any kind of bad faith as if they want what's bad for Thailand? No. But even when people are operating in good faith, sometimes they can, in my opinion, become a little bit overwrought and maybe do things that may not necessarily be in everyone's best interest. That said, I thought of making this video after reading a recent article from The Nation, that's nationthailand.com. Article is titled, Thaksin Appoints Trusted Aide to Shield Daughter from Armed Forces. In most of our videos, I cite when I'm on screen. Right now, I don't have the capability to do that. I am very much a tech novice, especially with this YouTube stuff. I don't seem that way because we do have a producer who assists me in making these videos look as good as they can, but I am, quite frankly. So we'll go ahead and put a link in the description below to this Nation article. I'll also put a link up to the line in the movie Anchorman to give some context for the reason for the thumbnail. In any event, again, article's titled Thaksin Appoints Trusted Aide to Shield Daughter from Armed Forces, nationthailand.com. Quoting directly, Phumtham Wachayachai handed task of guarding Paetongtarn's government against the fate that befell previous Shinawatra administrations. Phua-Thai Patriarch Thaksin Shinawatra has entrusted his longtime ally Phumtham Wachayachai to play the role of guardian angel. I like that term, guardian angel. Like, okay, guardian angel. For his daughter, Prime Minister Paetongtarn Shinawatra. Now, first of all, I want to go back to the title, Thaksin Appoints. Thaksin is not the Prime Minister. I thought the sole reason he was coming back was to retire so we could all reconcile and move on with it. A lot of the problems of the past stemmed from him being Prime Minister. Now, again, I'm not getting into the whole which side are you on of this, that, or the other thing. I view all of that stuff as being in the past. But it was my understanding he was going to be coming back here to primarily retire and set in motion reconciliation. Now the media is reporting, literally the headline is Thaksin Appoints. He's not the Prime Minister. His daughter is, but he's not. So why are we talking like that in the press? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me. And again, this notion, I think it's pretty ridiculous when you understand the concept, or the context, I should say, of everything. This notion that she needs a quote-unquote guardian angel, when you need to understand that effectively the establishment here in Thailand, the system, if you will, brought Thaksin back. He was allowed to come back, and not only that, but deal with the pending criminal matters that were pending against him in such a way that he didn't actually spend any time in jail or anything. He went into a hospital, and I would say it's fairly safe to call that being treated with kid gloves. metaphorically speaking, I would sort of liken it to, he was sort of brought back into Thailand on a little pillow and allowed to go through all that due process, but go through it in a pretty comfortable way. I think many people, especially those who saw convictions in the past for, red shirt activity or other things, are probably looking on how Thaksin was treated in the process of coming back to Thailand, especially through the criminal justice system, kind of look askance at that and say, well, wait a minute, is that exactly how everyone goes through the system? I mean, it's a good question to ask. And it also, in my mind, makes me think maybe you're being a little bit hyperbolic, this whole notion of a guardian angel. Is that really necessary? I didn't see any need for any guardian angel last year. Meanwhile, quoting further, Phumthan's experience as a political and military strategist dates back to the 70s. Now here is where I get very concerned. When he joined the Communist Party of Thailand and was known as Comrade Yai. Communist Party of Thailand. I keep thinking of that movie, Other People's Money, with Danny DeVito, where he says, you know what happens when capitalism gets messed up? The communists come back. They come out of the bushes. They're in there, And again, I can't stress enough, communism as an ideology is pernicious in the extreme. I don't want to get too into detail in this rather short video, hopefully, but it is pernicious in the extreme. And I question whether it's in the best interest of the country to have the defense minister be an avowed former communist. I mean, this person was known as a communist, known as a comrade. Literally, that's what it says in the nation, Comrade Yai, and was part of the Communist Party of Thailand. Is this really what we want as a people? Is this really who we want overseeing the defense ministry in Thailand? Meanwhile, and then it gets all mixed up again. Again, it's sort of why I kind of just wish Mr. Thaksin would, maybe take a page from other folks' book here in Thailand, where you go off into retirement, and maybe you chime in from time to time from a distance and sort of observe from afar, if you will. But this direct interaction, when it was my understanding that was what was not going to be the case here, coupled with the fact that now he's appointing, I put that in air quotes because that's rather absurd in its own right, because he doesn't hold any office. Now he's appointing this communist. Is that the best thing for everybody? Going further, Thaksin is confident Phumthan will know what the military is up to and be able to take action to save Paetongtarn from any threat. Well, again, I find that rather absurd when he specifically was brought or allowed to or came back to Thailand with the cooperation of the establishment in such a way that he did not face the same type of criminal consequences as we would generally see other people who were convicted of similar types of crimes. I find it, again, pretty absurd, honestly. Like, almost, I kind of laughed at it. I initially thought of making this video as sort of a satire, and then I decided not to. I just kind of wanted to point out, especially when I read about the communism thing, I just kind of wanted to make this video a little more serious, but it is kind of, to my mind, a little bit laughable to say, oh, we need a guardian angel or something, when the reality is that, it doesn't look to me like there's any major threat to anyone. That's basically my only point there. Quoting further, Phumthai sources confirm that Phumthan is among Thaksin's most trusted aides, having helped him found the Thai Party in 1998. Again, that's all well and good, but is Thaksin the prime minister? Quoting further, while Phumthan's official role as defense minister is crucial, his core duty is to help the inexperienced PM run the economy. Well, so what's going on here? Is this person actually the defense minister? Is the prime minister actually the prime minister? Or are we playing a bunch of shadow boxing games? And these are exactly the things that's caused us problems in the past. How about we just let the prime minister be the prime minister and run the government, run the cabinet the way it's usually done? Meanwhile, the notion that the PM is there to run the economy, again, this neo-Keynesian talk, we've heard about this with the digital wallet and the notion of negative income tax. Just massive interference and in interference is probably the best word, interjection of the government into the economy, is that overly necessary? And is it also overly good for the economy? It's been my experience when the government participates too much in the economy, causes problems. Best example was COVID, where they literally shut down the economy because we might get sick, was basically the underlying reason at the end of the day. Look, long story short, I don't really love making hypercritical videos, but this isn't me being critical in a negative way. I think that there is a path forward where this current government can operate very, very well, quite honestly. It looks like a coalition that could get a lot done. But again, being hyperbolic and, in my opinion, being almost to the point of paranoid, the notion of, oh, I need a guardian angel, when, recent history would suggest not so much. Then meanwhile, this discussion of putting in, well, again, a person who was a member of the Communist Party of Thailand is now going to be the defense minister. That's concerning in the extreme, and it brings up something that happened about a year ago. I made a video on, I call it This is Thailand, I'll put a link in the description below, when this government first came in and they wanted to put Chinese Communist Party police, they wanted to put Chinese police on the streets here in Thailand. There seems to be this constant sort of veering over into the lane of communism, and it really is making me uneasy. And I think anyone knows who knows the history of Thailand and how Thailand stood as a bulwark against communism when it counted, by the way. When the so-called domino theory did, to one degree or another, come to fruition, the domino that didn't fall was Thailand. And I think Thais would be well advised to keep that in mind. Again, I have the fervor of the converted, but again, I find it very concerning, the notion that we could have a communist as the defense minister here in the Kingdom of Thailand.